percussionists. Today we're going to do some very interesting time signatures. In today's lesson, we're going to do numbers 14 and 15 of our lesson book series, which is going to put us in the time signatures of 3/8 and 5/8. That means that we're going to be counting in groups of threes and in groups of fives. It also means that the value of our whole note, half note, quarter note, and eighth note is going to change. Here's why. The bottom number is an 8. And what I'd like you to remember is that whenever you have the bottom number in a time signature, it's going to tell you the value of a whole note. If it's an 8, whole notes will get 8 beats. Half notes would get 4. Quarter notes would get 2 beats, and eighth notes would now get 1 beat. And that's all due to the bottom number of the time signature. So, when someone asks you what the value of a whole note is, don't say 4. Say, what's the time signature? Because it may be a trick question. Now, let's get to it. We are in 3/8 time. 3 counts per measure. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. But those 3 things that we're counting are eighth notes. And if we have a quarter note, we've got to count 1, 2, or 2, 3, depending on where the quarter note is placed. And that includes rests as well. So rests and notes get the same value according to their type. I've got my metronome set at 40 for the tempo. And that 40 represents the eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I've got my tempo at 40, and I've got myself set up in 3/8 time, and I'm getting the pulse of those eighth notes now. So here we go, number 14. 1, 2, 3, ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Hey, check out that last measure. That's a mistake. The last measure is a quarter and a quarter. That's 4/8. That's too big. What should we do? Well, I think that the quarter rest at the end should be an eighth rest. Don't you? Now, you might have played through that and say, well, that sounds a whole lot like 3/4. And yes, it does sound a whole lot like 3/4. And it can even be written to look and sound like 3/4. But that's not what today's exercise is about. It's about getting you to read and decode the language of rhythm from a different perspective. 3/8, where the eighth note gets 1 beat. Let's move on to number 15, and let's do in groups of 5. So now on my metronome, I'm looking for something called 5/8 time, and I've found my 5/8 time right here. I've still got my metronome set at a speed of a tempo of 40, but I'm going to be counting like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, here we go. Be careful, because quarter rests get 2 beats. Quarter rests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How'd you do? I hope you did great. But if you made mistakes, press pause, set up your metronome, and try playing through this example without the video. Practice it a few times, and then come back to the video for more help or to review and reflect on your performance. If you do, that'll build your skills in counting, rhythm, and performing. So I hope this has been helpful. We are just beginning a couple video series lessons on this irregular time signatures of 3/8, 5/8, and next we're going to go on to even more 6/8 and 7/8 and so on and so forth. What we learned, or what we are reviewing, is that a bottom number tells us the value of a whole, half, quarter, and eighth notes. And that whole notes don't always get 4 beats. And quarter notes don't always get 1. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope that you've learned something. I hope to see you again soon, so keep practicing.